Hey, it's Chris Beyer.
Chris Bowling.
We are back in focus, CB.
Yes, we are.
Bill Holoka back with us from MedTrans. I wanted to continue the discussion on group captives when it comes to insurance and stop loss. But Phil, we want to specifically talk about who is a good fit for MedTrans, your specific medical stop loss captive. We'd shared again the difference in the industry of different philosophies that are there. But as we're talking with a self-funded health plan, trying to find ways to help them be efficient in the dollar that they're spending on stop loss, who is a good fit for your organization, your model for a captive?
Thanks, Chris. And really, it's a pecking order. It starts at the top, the funnel, so to speak, of the employer just has to be frustrated. They want to have more. They want to be willing to have more control over their healthcare spend.
Yes.
That's the first layer. The second layer is the size. Our model is not ideal for a small corporation. I know that a lot of the group captives out there say small to mid-size. Our structure warrants the mid-size to even big, 1,000 life group. They will find value in our structure.
Yes.
And then the next layer is they need to participate, right? This is not about writing a check every month and saying, hey, look, I get to participate in a captive and go to the Cayman Islands for a board meeting every year.
That's a nice benefit, but it takes more than that, right?
That's right.
When you say participate, what does that look like? I mean, we've got employers that are frustrated with healthcare spend. We've got employers that are the right size, and whether they're our clients and we've investigated this or they're prospective clients, there's frustration out there. So I think that's a common denominator with many employers, but what does participate mean?
So participate means the employer is going to own their own insurance company with us. They're going to be the owner of their own captive, which means it warrants the same input as if they would buy another business a division.
Right.
So they're going to have to learn, what does insurance company operations look like, how to read a financial statement, and they need to talk to their peers at the annual meeting.
Right.
Because you're an owner of an insurance company.
So that sounds scary to me because I've never owned an insurance company.
Yep.
How do you help that organization that says, you know what, I make widgets, or I'm a trucking company, or I'm, in the process of taking care of financial statements already for my clients? How do I learn how to run an insurance company?
Correct. Good point. I know that's a scary venture, but my firm, as the captive management firm, we do all of the back office operations.
Yes.
We prepare the financial statements. We, schedule the annual meeting. So they don't have to do anything on a day-to-day basis. They just have to want to learn about what it takes to own an insurance company.
And I liked the phrase you used about, buying another business division, because we do have so many CFOs that we talk to that they scrutinize each of their divisions and their profit centers every day. But sometimes healthcare is just out on its own little island and they're not looking at it. And the best CFOs that are really dialed into trying to control claims cost, I think would gravitate to what we're talking about.
Well, I kind of equate the captive like a casino. They're not built on losers. You would never buy a casino expecting it to lose revenue. Well, Warren Buffett says if you want to buy a business, you buy an insurance company.
Yes.
It
just did too.
He just did.
Another one. Yes. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I could take a little bit of knowledge from Warren Buffett. I think he knows what he's doing.
So one of our first steps, Phil, is what Chris and I do is we look at that 3 to 5 year history, right? Is we look at, we help our clients identify, this is what you've paid XYZ commercial reinsurance carrier, and this is what you've received in reimbursements. And if that's upside down, then they just made money on you. And I think that's where my biggest frustration is today in the commercial reinsurance industry is, we had a client that had a 21% loss ratio, and they got a 7.5% increase in their reinsurance. And the entire reinsurance industry will say, well, we just have to keep up with trend because we know that medical trend is going up. We know pharmacy trend is going up. But you would think when I'm self-funded, some of that has to play into why am I getting an increase when you just made $800,000 off my $1 million reinsurance premium? And that's where my frustration started is screaming at underwriters saying, you are insane if you believe that Chris and I can take this renewal back to our client and feel good about it, because you are making all the money right now.
Well, and those are the ideal clients because number one, they're frustrated.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, the optics of this is, geez, when you get your own P&L on a quarterly basis from your captive, you get to see, now, wait a minute, if I'm actively engaged in my risk management, you mean to tell me I get to have profits?
Yes.
What is that in insurance?
Yeah. No, it's a different mindset and a different option. So you talked about being in the client needs to be engaged. They need to be participating in that process. So Chris, I know we've taken a couple of organizations from fully insured into self-funded using the captive model that we're referencing. How does that work? Because there's got to be some employers that are saying, we've never thought of self-funding. How does this process work? And how do we all of a sudden become an insurance company owner when we've never even self-funded before?
So our first client, I think, is just the best story because they are a nonprofit. And, what we haven't talked about is there is a tax benefit to this. But, at the end of the day, we're buying insurance. And, Phil loved that I brought a nonprofit because it was solely, how are we going to buy reinsurance? And it really started exactly what Phil said. They were beyond frustrated. We were looking at spending $1.3 million, and in 3 years, based on trend, we were going to be spending close to $2 million.
Right. And
we had no control. We couldn't control anything about that program because it was fully insured, and it was time to take control. And, Phil and I've had a lot of conversations about, would this fit? And I was leery because I'm like, this is a nonprofit. They can't just crank up the widget machine to crank more profit if they have a bad year. They have a fixed budget. So how do we work within an organization that has a fixed budget that is now willing to take on more risk? And I think Phil summed it up easily. What are you paying today? If we pay the same amount, 80% of that money is now sitting in your claim fund. Look at some history and let's determine, did they ever go over that amount in any 1 year in the last 5 years? And the answer was no. It's all being propped to the insurance carrier. So that one was a huge success. And just to be quick, we just finished our year, or we will, here on April 1st. We had no spec claims, and they are carrying about 80% of what they paid into their captive into 2022. Awesome. So now we've got double the money to pay for any big claims if we have that bad year. Knock on wood that we do not.
Yep.
Perfect success story.
It is, and Phil, it's good to learn how this works. And again, this is one of the tools to help control cost. There's so many other things to work on, actually, what claims are happening and what drugs are being spent. But I think where I've learned a lot is that you're helping kind of scrutinize that too, and say, here's an opportunity to reduce this cost so that, again, we're not pulling money out of the captive unless we need to.
Oh, yes. Phil will send you something every month that says your client is running higher in this area. What are you planning on doing about that, Chris?
Yeah, because it's all, I reference the casino a lot because in the casino, everyone's watching everyone else.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing a service to your client.
Right.
And it's, at the end of the day, it's your client, it's my client, and we're all accountable to him or her or the business.
Yeah.
So we have to be stewards for that.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So Phil, to close this out, do you have a business philosophy or a mantra that you follow, or a quote that helps you as you've been in the captive space for your career?
So to win in insurance doesn't necessarily mean hitting home runs. The little levers that our captive structure brings to the client provide little wins that add up to big wins.
Love it.
And your client has won big through these little levers.
Well said. That's perfect.
Well said. Love it.
Thank you, Phil, for joining us again. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Phil.
Thanks.
See you guys.